Greetings, friend. I will show you how to solve Sudoku using the Phistomefel ring by using a puzzle made specifically for that purpose. You first need to understand all the rules of this particular Sudoku. All digits must appear exactly once in each row, column, and 3x3 block. Okay, that's just normal Sudoku rules. Digits in a cage cannot repeat. These are the cages and must sum the total in the cage. So this is an 11 cage. And since they can't repeat, if you put the digits 1, 2, 3, and 5 in here, if this is a 1, that's a 2, that's a 3, and that's a 5, that would add up to 11, and that would be valid in this cage. So that's killer Sudoku rules. And then third, cells separated by a black dot, so these two cells, have a ratio of 1 to 2. And so if this is a 1, this would have to be a 2. If this is a 2, this could be a 1 or a 4. You see how that works? And cells separated by a white dot have a difference of 1. So if this is a 1, that'd be a 2. But this could also be, a 3 and a 2. And this could be a 2 or a 4 to go with this 3. So those are just difference of 1. These are multiplication, like 2 to 1 ratio in the black dots. Okay, click below if you want to give this puzzle a go, and with that, it's solving time. So the Phistomefel ring is an application of set equivalence theory, or SET. And Turgenev designed the killer cages here to show you exactly where to look and figure out this Phistomefel ring. You see they have these 16 cells in the corners, and then you have these cages that go around these 16 cells here around the center block. So I'll explain briefly how set equivalence theory works and how you get to this Phistomefel ring. You know in Sudoku that a row contains all the digits of 1 to 9. So that's a set of the digits 1 through 9. If you have 2 rows, that'd be 2 rows and 2 complete sets of digits 1 through 9. If you take these bottom 2, you end up with 4 complete sets of the digits 1 through 9. Hopefully you understand that. 4 rows, 4 sets of those digits. Okay. Now, we've created one larger green set here, having 4 of each of the digits 1 through 9. If you compare it to another colored set, so we use these 5 columns right here, and I'll draw up these columns. These 5 columns, and I'll put them in red, will contain 5 sets of the digits 1 through 9. Okay? And since you have a completely red block right here, this block represents one complete set of digits 1 through 9, right? So if you remove that, now in the red you have 4. If you take away one set, you have 4 complete sets of digits 1 through 9. The way set equivalence theory works is you're not concerned about the digits in the larger red set that are the same as the digits in the larger green set. So that'd be all these that are striped, because those are the same exact digits. Whatever this digit is in the green set, it has to be the same exact digit, same exact location in the red set. So you want to remove all of these from consideration. That doesn't give you any extra information. And what remains, though, is this red set, also called the Phistomefel ring, of 16 digits. And since all the white you removed are exactly the same in both of the sets, and we remove this extra set of digits 1 through 9 right here, what remains in this red has to be the exact same digits that are in these green cells right here, right? Because whatever was in the red, it's got to be somewhere in the green, and can only fit in those 16 cells. And whatever's in the green has to be in the red. They have to be equivalent. That's how it works. Phistomefel is a Sudoku setter who came up with this idea, and that's why it's called the Phistomefel ring, or the P ring. And now Turgenev wants you to use that information to figure out where some of these digits go. And so what information did he give you? Well, it gives you the fact that you have 11, 29, 10, and 30 are the values of the green rings. 11, using 4 different digits, can only be made one way, 1, 2, 3, and 5. 29 can only be made one way as well, 5, 7, 8, and 9, right? If you have 9, 8, and 7, that's 24. That's the most you can have, plus a 5 makes it 29. 30 is the max you can have with 4 different digits in a killer cage of 4 cells. So 6, 7, 8, 9 right there. And then the 10 is actually the minimum amount. So you can have a 1, 2, 3, or 4 right there. If you add up all 4 of these green cages, you get 30 plus 10, 40, plus 29, 69, plus 11, 80. Okay? So the digits add up to 80 in the green must also add up to 80 here in the red. That is how you're going to apply this set equivalence theory. And we know that you have 13 here and 13 here, so that's 26. 12 here, so that's 38. And 13 there, so that's 51. So what that tells you is 80 minus 51, you have 29 as a total of these 4 cells. That's the only ones not accounted for by the killer cages. Hopefully you're following along. And now let's look and see what could be in these cells, and you'll see that we're going to be able to solve a few digits here. Since you have a 1, 2, 3, and 5 in this block already, this can be 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? So you have a 5, 7, 8, 9 in this block 3. This can be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. You have the 1, 2, 3, 4 here, so that's a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? And right here, because you already have a 6, 7, 8, 9 in block 7, this can be a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Now, to get 29, since they're in 4 different blocks, you could have repeat digits. So you could have 2 9s as the maximum. A 9 here and a 9 there. That would be 18. And then to get to the remaining 11, to get you to 29, you need these 2 digits to add up to 11. Well, if you max this out, and that's a 5 and that's a 6, you barely get 11, but you precisely get 11. So if you max out all 4 of these cells, you get the 29 that you need to have the equivalent of what's in the green cells. This is beautiful. I love what Turgenis did here. And, you know, he did this because someone was talking in Discord about an approachable Sudoku that would show how the Phistomefel ring works, how the Phistomefel ring. If you can say that better, please help me out with some pronunciation there. I appreciate that. This has to be a 9. This has to be your 9. This has to be a 6. And this has to be a 5. Once you see that, now we can continue on with solving this puzzle using the rest of the rules of the puzzle. And this is a beautiful solve. And before I move on, if you like this content, subscribe and tap the bell for all the notifications so you can join the internet's best Sudoku community. Okay, we're going to remove the ring and all the colors. And now we're going to focus on the rest of the rules to see how much solving we can get here. What you want to notice is that with this 6 coming down, you have a pointing pair of 6s here in block 7. So 6 can't be anywhere else outside the block because it's got to be somewhere here in block 9 there. All right, so row 7, block 9. This 5 is pretty powerful because since this 5 comes up here, this 5 cuts across here, you have a pointing pair of 5s right there in block 9. And so a 5 can't be in any of these cells. And it can't be here, and it can't be here because of this 5. So what ends up happening using the Phistomefel and set equivalence theory is you know that one of the 5s on this ring has to be from this cage, and the other 5's got to be from this cage. So you have to have 2 5s in the ring. You have one here. The only other 5 has to be in this killer cage right there. So a 5's got to be there. And so to create 13 with a 5, you can do it with a 5 and a 6 plus 2, but you got a 6 there, so that's not going to work. You can't do 5, 5, and 3 because you'd repeat the 5s. The other options are 5, 7, and a 1. So you can actually know this has to be a 1, 5, and a 7 right there. All right. And now with that information, 1, 5, 7 here, you end up with 2, 3, 4, and 8 here. Since the 2 and 3 got to be in this block right there, this is going to be your 4, 8. And this is going to be a 2, 3. And so this is a 4, 8. 1, 2, 3, 5 are in here. This has to be a 6 or a 7. But we can do better than that. This is a Kropki dot 2-to-1 ratio. So you can't have a 7 next to that dot. So this has to be your 6, which makes this the 3, and that's going to be your 7. Okay? Awesome. And now you can remove some of this marks that we did there. And I love Tergancy puts a little bit of information with each of these Kropkis and the killer cages so that you can keep on solving as you move along. And now in block 3, this has to be a 1 and a 4. That's all that's left because you got the 5, 7, 8, 9 right there, the 2, 3 right there. And so what would this create is this has to be one more than that. So it could be a 2, it could be a 3, or a 5. Well, it can't be a 5 because the 5 is right there. And it can't be a 3 because that's a 3. This has to be a 2. And if that's a 2, the only digit right here that corresponds with a 2 is this one. So that's a 1, and now that's going to be your 4. And you can remove the 1 and the 2 here, and they're going to be in these two spots now in block 1. After doing that, now let's look across here with this 3, 5. The 5 can't be here anymore. And so you now have a nice 5, 7 there, which creates a 4, 6 naked pair right here. And this would be an 8, 9 naked pair. Okay, making more information, and we'll keep on solving. It's going to be a mix of the variant rules, the Kropkis and the killer cages, and normal Sudoku rules as we move along. Now we can look at block 9, and what you'll see here is you have 5, 6, 7, 8. This can't be a 6. And with the Kropki, this cannot be a 5 or a 7. This has to be an 8. And half of 8 is 4, so you can solve that for a 4. And then this now has to be your 5, because the 5 only goes there. And now we can remove the 5 and the 8 from here, and you have a nice 6, 7 naked pair. So what that puts in this block is a 2, 3, 7. And this can't be a 7 because it's next to the black Kropki. I'll get back to that. Okay, after doing that, you can look in row 7 right here. This can't be a 6, 7, can't be a 5. So what you got is 1, 2, 3, 4 here. That can't be a 4. You can remove these 8s. And then what has to be in here is an 8. So the 8 can't be there. 8's in one of these two cells. So that makes this an 8. And so an 8 to make 13. So you have 8. You can't have a 4 because of the 1. So this has to be a 2, 3, 8. That'll make your 13. If that's a 2, 3, 8, you can get rid of the 2, 3 right there. And now this has to be a 2 or a 3 right here. And so you look at this dot and go, what is this dot going to be? Well, it could be a 1, but less than a 2. So it could be 1. It can't be a 3 because of this 3, and it can't be a 4 because of this 4. So this can only be a 1 or a 2. But you can't have the 2 because of the 2 that's right there. So this now has to be your 1, which makes this a 2 and makes that a 3. Hope you see how that works. And now this can't be a 1 anymore. And if you look right here, this is next to a Kropki of a, so it could be, 1 above or below. So it can't be a 2 with this. This can't be a 1. If this was a 1, that would be a 2, but your 2 is right there. So you can remove the 1 from right there, and you can solve this now for a 1. All right. And then if you look right here, with this can't be a 2, because if this was a 2, This has to be a 1 or a 3, but you got a 3 here and a 1 and a 1 there. And it can't be a 3 because you have a 3 right here. This now has to be your 8, and that's going to be a 7 and a 9. And then with this 2, that's a 3 and that's a 2. So making some nice progress here. With this 1, 2 here, you know, that's got to be a 3, 4. And this is going to be your 1, 2. So trim that up just a little bit. And then after doing that, let's look at this. These black Kropkis. There's actually a lot of restriction going on right here. You know, these 3 cells now have to be a 1, 4, and an 8 to finish column 3. Okay, so 1, 4, and 8 cannot be on the Kropki. That restricts where it can be here quite a bit, right? Because if you try to put, you can't put a 1 there, you can't put, if you put a 2, you'd have to have a 1 or a 4, which is right here. Can't do it. Can't do 4, can't do 8. So the only thing that's going to go on there is a 3 and a 6. So one of these is a 3, and one of those would be a 6. And if this is a 3 or a 6, this could be a 2. Can't be a 4 because the 4 it's already in the killer cage, a 5 or a 7. But this 3, 6 acts as a pointing pair. It's not just a naked pair. Since the 3 has to be one of these spots, that's going to be a 5, that's going to be a 3. And now you can remove the 5 from right there. And then with these 6s, you can remove the 6s from right there. Nice. All right. After doing that, let's look over here, row 4, column 9. Same kind of restriction. You have a 2, 3, 7 there. So 2 and a 3 can't be part of this Kropki. So you can't use a 3, 6. You can't put a 1 because then a 2 would have to be part of that. So it has to be a 4 and an 8. That's the only thing that's going to fit on there, right? Because you can't do the 3, 6. So this got to be a 4 and 8. And this would end up being a 5 or a 9. You can't have a 3 because the 3 is in one of these cells. You can't have a 7 because the 7 is in one of these cells as well. And so this 4, 8 acts as a pointing pair. So this can't be an 8 anymore. That's going to be a 9, and that's going to be 8. And this is going to clean up a lot here. Because this 9 now makes this a 5. That's a 7, and that's a 5. Okay? And then if this is a 5, the only thing that's 1 next to it is that's got to be the 4 now, and that's going to be your 8. And now this can be your 6, and that's going to be your 7 because of this 7. And then with this 4, you got the 3, 4 right here. And you got the 2 and the 3 right here. And then you got the 1 and the 2 right there. Nice. And now look right here. You'll notice that this is a 5 or 7. So this could be 1 below or above the 5, 4 or 6. And 1 above or below 7, 6 or an 8. Well, you got the 4 and the 8 right here. So this now has to be a 6. And then go right to here and say, hey, what can this cell be? So black Kropki, so this is a 2. This could be a 1, but it can't be a 4 because of this 4. And as a 3, it can't be a 6 because of this 6. So this has to be a 1, which makes this a 2 now. All right, and that's going to give you a 3, 7 right there. And now we can do a little bit more solving here. And you look right here, what can this be? You know, if this was a 1, then that'd be a 2. Before it could be a 2, but because it's 8, it can't be an 8 anymore. So this can only be a 2, because it can't be an 8 or a 1. So that is your 2 right there. Nice. And so now we're making a little bit more progress, because this 2 means this has to be a 7, which equates to that being the 6 and that being the 3. And we make all those solves, and now that's a 3, and that's going to be your 7. And then with this 4, you can remove the 4 from right there. With the 1, you can move the 1 right there. And now we're going to use a little bit of like normal Sudoku here. It's kind of cool. This 4 cutting across actually acts as a pointing pair for us. It's got to be in one of those cells. So a 4 can't be anywhere else outside the block, which means this can't be a 4 anymore. So that's going to be your 6, and that's going to be your 4. Great. And then now with these two 6s, you can solve for a 6 right here, which removes a 6 from this cell. And it's going to allow you to solve this cell now for a 6. And then with the 7, that's a 9, that's a 7, and that's going to be your 8. Awesome. With that 8 now, you got a 4 and an 8 right here. And then with the 4, you got the 1 and the 4 right here. And you got a 2 and a 1 right here. It cleans up all that very nicely. And you look across here, we only have 1 digit remains, so that's got to be a 5. And then the 5 and this 5, you actually end up with a nice pointing pair of 5s here. And so the 5's got to be here in block 4. So that's going to be a 5. And then this would be, 2 or a 9. Well, with this 2, there's your 2, and there's going to be your 9, which now allows you to solve this for a 7 now. And you can disambiguate the 5 and the 7 right here. Nice. And then we can continue on with our solving. With this 5, that can't be a 5 anymore. So then that's going to be your 5. And then what you have with this 8 is, now that's the 9, that's the 8, that's the 9. Alrighty, I don't see a 7 in block 8, so that's got to be your 7 now. Okay, and I'm going to move on with the solving here. We got a full house in column 4, and so we don't have a 9 yet, so we can put the 9 right there. So these two 9s means this has to be a 9. These two 6s means this has to be a 6. And it just leaves a 1 right there. And with these two 1s, you can solve that for the 1, that for the 8, that for the 4. Displace this 4. So you can solve that cell for a 4, and all you have left is a 3 and an 8. So I'm just going to pull that 8 from right there. So there's your 3, and there is your 8. Now, see if you can apply the Phistomefel ring to this classic Sudoku. Thank you so much for watching.